on. Uh, Number 2 is rhythm. I'm gonna bring up another whiteboard here that's gonna talk about rhythm. It's gonna correspond to your handout that I gave you on rhythm. If this is new to you, then watch it several times. If this is something that you've understood already, then maybe watch it once, or even skip ahead if the handout is enough for you. We're talking about rhythm, and I want to give you a sense of what rhythm is before we come back to my Papa's Waltz and say, what's the rhythm here, and how does that help us understand the implication? When we're talking about rhythm, we're talking about scanning. That's the word that we use when we talk about finding out what a rhythm is. We would say that we're scanning a poem. We're scanning for syllables and stresses. How many syllables are there, and which ones are stressed? So what we're going to do first is we're going to divide a word, every single word in the poem, into its syllables. Grab my marker. The word banana I've written up here, and I've also written the word Canada. What we're going to do is we're going to put lines to separate all of the different syllables in the word. And if this continued on in a poem, we would continue to put lines here indicating all of the different syllables in that line. First, syllables. Next, we have stresses. Now the syllable part is going to be easy. The stress part is going to be hard. We're putting two symbols. We have this diagonal line, and we have this little half loop. In every one of these little boxes that is created over top of the syllables, we need to decide whether the syllable is stressed or unstressed. And you can kind of think of it like this. A stressed syllable is a syllable that is stronger or has more emphasis than the others. And I hope that banana can work for you as an example. When we look at the word banana, it can only be said exactly as I've just said it, banana. To say it banana wouldn't make sense, nor would it make sense for me to say banana. In the first example, I'm putting the stress on the middle syllable. Banana. Banana. Now, if I was to put the stress on the first syllable, I'd be saying banana. Banana. Which doesn't make sense and doesn't sound like the word. In fact, it sounds ridiculous. Which is a good side note. If you ever want to test if you've got the right set of stresses, move them to another one and see if it sounds ridiculous. It usually should. Also, if I put the stress on the last syllable, it would be banana. Banana, and that doesn't sound right. We know it's banana. The word is banana. I'd like a banana. We put the stress on the middle syllable. And because neither of the other ones are stressed, we give them an unstressed sign. And so if I see this, I can read two unstressed syllables and one stressed syllable. Banana. Now here's our second word, Canada. I'm going to separate the three syllables, Canada, and it's going to look very similar to banana. But we're going to see that it's slightly different. If I put the stress in the same spot as with banana, it would be right here in the middle. But that word wouldn't be Canada. It would be Canada. It would be me putting more of an emphasis or a strength on that middle syllable, Canada. Similarly, if I put it at the end on the DA, it would be Canada. And we know that that's not the country we live in. We know we live in Canada. The first syllable is stressed, and the second two are unstressed. Now here we come down to a bit more of a difficult example, or a slightly more difficult example. Here's a very, very short poem. We're going to try to scan the poem, and then we're going to name the rhythm of it. It reads, "Away we go to lay in snow. Away we go to lay in snow." If you want to go ahead and pause the video and try to scan that yourself, separate all of the syllables and then give each syllable either a stressed symbol or an unstressed symbol. Go ahead and do that now. If you're back, I'm going to do it for you and you can see if you got it right. First, I'm going to separate all of the syllables. Away we go. Away we go. 4 syllables. And in the second line, we'll see the same. To lay in snow is also 4 syllables. That's the easy part. The hard part is us being able to actually put a stressed or an unstressed sign on the syllables. If we put a stressed sign on the first syllable here, it would read, away we go. And I hope that you can hear that that's not quite right. It's not away we go, it's away we go. Away we go. Not away we go, away we go. That the stressed syllable is on way and go. Away we go. The other 2 syllables are unstressed. The same we're going to see in the second line. It's going to follow the exact same pattern as the first one. To lay in snow. To lay in snow. And the other 2 syllables are also unstressed. It's not to lay in snow, it's to lay in snow. Away we go to lay in snow. I hope you can actually hear that rhythm as you're reading it, because that becomes much more important than being able to name it, is being able to hear a rhythm. Now, poets won't always make it quite as simple as this. It's not always going to be a perfect rhythm, and sometimes you're going to have to name a rhythm based on the one that is the absolute closest. Sometimes there will be an extra syllable here and there. And sometimes that's significant. When we get back to my Papa's Waltz, I'm going to suggest that there's an extra syllable in one of the lines, and that may be significant. Finally, we've scanned. We have our syllables. We have our stresses. We know which symbols to use when. We understand that words have stressed and unstressed syllables, and we're able to put our scanning into a poem. If you're able to do that, then all you have to do is memorize a few names of different rhythms, and you'd be able to name this. If you look at your rhythm handout, you'll see that there's several different types of rhythm. One is iambic, one is trochaic, there's anapestic, there's dactylic, and each one refers to a different set of stressed and unstressed syllables. So for instance, the iambic rhythm refers to an unstressed syllable and a stressed syllable. So together, the unstressed and the stressed syllable make one iambic foot. Go ahead and look at your handout for that. Play through this again if you need to. For an iambic foot, 1 foot or piece of iambic rhythm, you need an unstressed syllable and a stressed syllable. We're going to see that that's exactly what we have here. Right here, we have an unstressed and a stressed, followed by an unstressed and a stressed. Again, unstressed, stressed, unstressed, stressed. Each line is going to have 2 feet of iambic meter. Make sure you look those words up in your handout. Each line, this is line 1, this is line 2, is going to have 2 feet of iambic meter or iambic rhythm. Now, to name a rhythm, it's based on the number and the type of feet. So we already know the type. We know that it's iambic. Now we just need to know the number, and that's easy. We have 2 here, and we have 2 here. So each line of poetry, in this case, has 2 iambic feet. If you look at your handout, you'll know that anytime there's 2 feet, you're dealing with dimeter. And we already know it's iambic. So what we can say is that this poem is written in iambic dimeter. Now, if the rhythm was different, let's say it was unstressed, unstressed, stressed, something perhaps like this for each line, that would be an anapestic rhythm. And so instead of iambic, we would call that anapestic, and however many feet we found in a line, we would change this word. So, for instance, if there were 5, we would have anapestic pentameter. And you're going to have to look through your handout to make sure you understand that. Again, come to me tomorrow with any questions you have after you've watched this a few times and gone through that if you need to. That's rhythm. Now we come back to my Papa's Waltz. We've talked about rhyme and we've suggested, hey, this was a waltz. It was supposed to be something beautiful, but it seems like there's an intentional choice here not to use perfect rhyme. Pans and countenance in the second stanza is another instance of off rhyme. Why is this author using off rhyme? Is there something off here? Is there something wrong? Now we go to rhythm and we suggest, okay, well, what's the rhythm of this? And if you make your way through, and I would say go ahead and try to practice that. Pause this if you need to. Try to find the stresses and the unstresses. Try to name that rhythm. If you've done that, you know that it's something very similar to iambic trimeter, that there's 3 feet of iambic meter in each line, or very similar to that. That each line has 6 syllables. Now there's a couple exceptions. We see could make a small boy dizzy is the second line of the poem and has 7 syllables, as does such waltzing was not easy. So Rothke's going to throw in the occasional extra syllable, but it's going to be okay because it rhymes with the next one and has the same number of syllables, and that's going to work together. Now, what's strange for me is in the 4th stanza when we see, you beat time on my head with a palm caked hard by dirt. With a palm caked hard by dirt is 7 syllables, which means that the line it rhymes with, still clinging to your shirt, should also have 7 syllables. But it's going to have 6. Still clinging to your shirt is 6 syllables. For some reason, Rothke has changed the rhythm here. At the very end of his poem, when he could wrap it up all nice and tightly, make it a nice rhyme, dirt and shirt, and put the same rhythm into the line, he chooses not to. He chooses to cut out a syllable there. He chooses to have the rhythm not make perfect sense. It's not going to be roses are red, violets are blue, honey is sweet, and so are you. The rhythm isn't going to flow perfectly. There's something just slightly disjointed about the last stanza. Again, we say why? Why, Rothke, did you slightly change your rhythm? Why did you twist it a little bit? Why not make it a little bit more perfect and make it sound like everything's okay? And I wonder again, as I did with rhyme, if everything is okay. If there might be something wrong here.